Hello, and welcome back to Learn English. I'm Martin.
And I'm Luna. We are so excited that you are joining us for today's lesson.
If you are new here, or if you haven't done it yet, please click that subscribe button right now and give this video a like.
Your support is crucial. It helps us continue to create free, practical English lessons just like this one. So don't forget to subscribe.
That's right. Now, let's talk about what we are learning today. We are moving away from work topics and talking about something much more fun.
Yes, today we are going to have a very practical English conversation about traveling and planning a trip.
This is perfect for everyone who loves holidays and vacations. We will use simple and common phrases to talk about our past trips, our future travel plans, and how to discuss the planning process.
We will cover everything from booking flights to managing your luggage. So grab your imaginary passport and let's jump right in and start your conversation. Martin, since we are talking about travel, I have to ask, what is the best trip you have ever taken?
Oh, that's a tough choice. But I think my favorite trip was to Kyoto, Japan. It was 2 years ago.
Kyoto is beautiful. How long did you go for?
I went for 10 days. It was perfect for a city break, but still enough time to relax. What about you, Luna? Where did you go for your best vacation?
Mine was very different. I went to the Peruvian Andes. I spent 2 weeks hiking. It was a real adventure trip.
Wow, 2 weeks of hiking? That's incredible. What did you do there exactly?
Well, the main focus was visiting Machu Picchu, of course, but I also spent time in small villages, tried to speak a little Spanish, and sampled all the local food. I loved the ceviche.
That sounds amazing, but very tiring. My trip was more about history and culture. I spent most of my time visiting ancient temples and quiet Zen gardens. I took thousands of pictures.
Did you travel alone, or did you go with someone?
I went with a small group of friends. It was much more fun to share the experience with them. You?
I traveled with my family. It was relaxing because we didn't have a strict schedule. We just walked around and discovered places spontaneously. That's my favorite way to travel.
That sounds lovely. So, we have two different styles, a quiet, cultural city trip and an active, long adventure trip. Now, how do you usually start planning such a big trip?
Good question. Let's discuss the planning process next.
So, Luna, after you decide on the place, like the Peruvian Andes, how do you start the planning? For me, the first step is always about flights.
Yes, the dreaded planning phase. I agree. The first thing is usually checking flight availability and prices. I always look for a direct flight if possible, even though they are usually more expensive. Do you prefer direct flights or flights with layovers?
I'm all about saving money, so I don't mind a layover, as long as it's not too long. Once the flights are booked, the second crucial step is accommodation. How do you usually choose where to stay?
I'm a big fan of research. I spend hours comparing accommodation options online. I usually look for a small, local guest house or a mid-range hotel. For my hiking trip, I had to find specific lodges near the mountain trails. I prioritize location and good reviews.
I'm similar. For the Kyoto trip, I looked for a traditional Japanese inn called a ryokan. The location was near the train station, which made getting around much easier.
Transportation is key. After accommodation, I immediately look at local transportation. Do I need to buy a train pass, or should I rent a car? It's all part of figuring out the logistics.
Exactly. For my trip, I bought a week-long rail pass, which you must purchase in advance. People often forget that small yet important detail.
It's easy to forget those tiny details, isn't it? Another thing I always do early in the process is set a budget. I calculate how much money I need for food, entrance fees, and unexpected expenses. It helps keep the trip stress-free.
That's very smart. I try to set a budget too, but I often fail and spend a little more on souvenirs. So, Luna, once the major things, flights, accommodation, and transportation are sorted, what comes next in your plan?
Next, the fun part, creating the itinerary. But let's save that for the next segment. Right, Martin, we have the flights and the accommodation booked. Now, let's talk about the fun part, the itinerary. How detailed do you make your itinerary when you travel?
I like a mix. I always plan the big things like which city I'll be in on which day, but I leave the morning and afternoon open for spontaneity. My itinerary usually lists the must-see landmarks and a few restaurant suggestions. Do you plan every single hour?
For an adventure trip like mine, yes, you have to. My itinerary was very strict. Day 3, hike 8 hours to base camp B. Carry all water. If you don't stick to the plan, you get lost. But for a city trip, I agree it's better to be flexible.
That makes sense. Hiking is serious business. Speaking of carrying things, let's talk about packing. Are you an overpacker or a light traveler?
I try to be a light traveler, but I usually fail. I always pack for every possible weather scenario. I need waterproof clothes for the rain, warm layers for the cold, and nice clothes for dinner. I am always afraid of forgetting something essential.
I am definitely a minimalist. I only travel with carry-on luggage. It saves time at the airport and saves money on baggage fees. I always try to pack clothes that you can mix and match. The key is to pack fewer items, but smarter ones.
That's very disciplined of you. What is one item you absolutely cannot travel without?
My portable power bank. My phone battery always dies because I use the map and camera constantly. It's absolutely essential.
Good point. Mine is my neck pillow for the long flight. I can sleep anywhere if I have that. So once the perfect itinerary is set and the luggage is ready, everything should be smooth, right?
In theory, yes, but travel often comes with unexpected problems. Let's talk about those annoying travel challenges next.
As much as we love travel, Martin, we have to talk about the inevitable problems. What is the worst travel challenge you have ever experienced?
The worst for me was dealing with a canceled flight. I was flying from Seoul to Paris, and the airline canceled the flight last minute due to a technical issue. I had to spend an unplanned night at the airport. It completely threw off my schedule.
Oh no! A canceled flight is the worst kind of delay. That must have been frustrating. How did you handle the situation?
I had to be very firm but polite with the staff. I immediately asked for a new flight and also insisted on getting a voucher for accommodation and a meal, which they eventually provided. You have to know your rights.
That is excellent advice. Be firm and know what you are entitled to. I've never had a cancellation, but I suffered badly from jet lag when I returned from Peru. The time difference was huge. How do you cope with jet lag after a long international flight?
I try to adjust immediately to the new time zone. If I arrive in the morning, I force myself to stay awake all day, even if I'm exhausted, and I avoid caffeine and alcohol. It's tough, but it works better than taking a long nap.
I wish I had done that. Another big fear of mine is lost luggage. Have you ever had your luggage not arrive with you?
Fortunately, no, but a friend of mine did. Her bag was lost for 2 days. The most important lesson is to always put essential items like medicine, a phone charger, and one change of clothes in your carry-on bag. Never pack them in your checked luggage.
That's really smart. It seems like the solution to most travel problems is to be prepared and remain calm.
Exactly. Panicking never helps. Knowing the possible challenges helps you plan for them. Now, let's move on and ensure our viewers know the crucial vocabulary we've used in our discussion so far.
That was a very necessary chat about travel problems. Now, let's make sure our viewers know the most important phrases and words we use today.
Excellent idea. We have 4 crucial words that are essential for planning any trip. Our first word is itinerary.
Itinerary is spelled I-T-I-N-E-R-A-R-Y. An itinerary is a detailed plan or route for a journey. It tells you exactly where you are going and when.
For example, I need to finalize my itinerary before I book the train tickets. It helps keep your travel organized.
Our second keyword is accommodation. We use this when talking about hotels and guest houses.
Accommodation is spelled ACCOMMODATION. This word refers to a place where you stay, such as a hotel, an Airbnb, or a lodge.
Correct. A sentence using this could be, I booked my accommodation 3 months in advance because it was high season.
The third word is one of the biggest challenges we discussed: jet lag.
Jet lag is spelled Jet space LAG. Jet lag is that physical tiredness you feel after a long flight, caused by the difference in time zones.
You can say, I need 2 days to recover from jet lag after flying across the Atlantic.
And finally, let's review a word that describes a major travel problem: canceled.
Canceled is spelled CANCELED. If a flight is canceled, it means the service or event will not happen. It is stopped completely.
For example, our train was canceled, so we had to find an alternative way to reach the city.
Perfect. So remember these 4 words: itinerary, accommodation, jet lag, and canceled. Try to practice them when you talk about your next holiday.
Absolutely. Now, let's look forward and talk about our next dream destinations.
All right, Martin. The past is the past and the problems are solved. Let's look forward. Do you have a dream trip you are currently planning or hoping to plan soon?
Yes, I do. My current dream trip is to visit Patagonia in South America, specifically the area between Chile and Argentina. I want to spend a month exploring the national parks and hiking the famous trails.
Patagonia. That sounds very challenging, but also incredibly beautiful. When are you hoping to go?
I'm aiming for next year, possibly in November, which is late spring there. I need to save a lot of money because it's a long trip, and I want to stay in comfortable but remote accommodations.
That means you need to start saving your budget now. Who will you travel with on this great adventure?
I plan to go with my best friend. We share the same interest in intense hiking and nature photography. It will be much safer and more fun with a companion. What about you, Luna? Where is your next dream destination?
I really want to do a multi-city tour of Italy. I want to spend time in Rome, Florence, and Venice. It would be a complete contrast to my hiking trip.
A classic. That's a very different kind of adventure. What is the main thing you want to do in Italy?
My main focus is the food and the history. I want to take a cooking class in Florence and try authentic local pasta every single day. I'd love to just wander without a rigid itinerary. I want that spontaneous feeling you talked about.
That sounds fantastic. You might be able to find cheaper flights if you avoid the main summer season, which would help your budget.
Good thinking. I'll start looking at prices for early autumn. It seems we both have ambitious travel plans.
We certainly do. Now, we should wrap up this conversation and give our viewers a chance to share their own dream trips.
It's time to wrap up our travel talk. Martin, that was a wonderful discussion covering a lot of useful vocabulary and planning phrases.
It certainly was. Let's quickly review the most important things we practiced today for our viewers. First, we learned how to describe a favorite past trip, including the duration and the main activities.
Second, we covered the detailed planning process, which involves booking flights and searching for the right accommodation.
Third, we discussed the practical side, making an efficient itinerary, and the wisdom of packing light in your carry-on luggage.
And fourth, we tackled the challenges. We talked about dealing with major issues like a canceled flight and physical issues like jet lag.
We also successfully reviewed our 4 key vocabulary words: itinerary, accommodation, jet lag, and canceled. Try to use them in your own daily conversations this week.
Now it's your turn to practice. We always finish with a question of the day for our viewers to answer in the comments below.
Today's question is based on your dream trip. What is your dream destination, and what kind of accommodation will you stay in?
We read every single comment. Share your dream, whether it's a big city or a remote mountain. It's a great way to practice your English writing skills.
Thank you so much for joining us for this lesson. Learning a language takes consistent practice, so keep speaking and keep listening.
If this video helped you learn something new, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Learn English so you don't miss our next topic.
See you all next time.
Happy travels and bye-bye.